cycles. Is the one that we're in right now, does that make your job or the job you used to have more difficult or easier?
It's tough at the time. We're in an unusual circumstance. First of all, the cycle we've gone through in the last 18 months of the pandemic was not really a normal cycle. Normal cycles, in my opinion, are the result of people becoming too optimistic and overshooting intrinsic value, fair value, and then a correction toward fair value, but it carries through to underpriced, and then people get too pessimistic, and then a correction back toward fair value, but it overshoots and heads to excessive. So excess and correction is the normal source of a cycle. This cycle had nothing to do with the economy. This was like a meteor hitting the earth from outer space. It was an exogenous event, the pandemic, and then the government policies, government Fed policies undertaken to correct it. So I saw a pandemic, an epidemiologist from Harvard at the very beginning of the pandemic, and he said we have three things. We have facts, analogies to prior experience, and supposition. But in the case of the pandemic, there are no facts, there are no prior experiences. We have only supposition. And I think that's where we have been. So that has made life tough.
Right. Well, then, and as an investor, how do you determine intrinsic value? How do you determine value at all?
Well, you try to figure out what the cash flows will be. You discount those back to the present at a fair discount rate. You apply windage for uncertainty, etc. That's what you normally do. Normally do. But of course, first of all, we have the lowest interest rates in history. Which, if something grows faster than the discount rate, then in theory it's worth infinity. So it's hard to operate in a world where things are worth infinity. And by the way, there are people who are willing to pay infinity for them.
We've seen that.
Makes it hard on a value investor. And then, of course, since it's not a normally occurring economic cycle, it's harder to get your hands on it. Normally, when we're at the beginning of an economic upcycle and we're only a year in, you're usually pretty low in terms of the market. Now we have a market which is high, and the economy is getting going. So. I say in the first year of the recovery is getting going. But you could say, well, the bad news is that the economy hasn't done much and stocks are highly valued already. Or you could say the good news is that stocks are highly valued, but the economic recovery lies ahead.
Yeah.
And investing is full of on the one hand and on the other hand, and I think this is a great example.
But those